Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how to make this reinforced shaker gift box, shaker lid gift box, and I've also incorporated the laminate stamping that I showed you last week as well. So this idea came from 2 or 3 places, I have to say. The reinforced gift box with the shaker lid, I got that idea from, I saw Mixed Up Crafts had done it. I know a few other people have done it as well, but that was the lady I saw online who'd done it. And then the laminate stamping was Jennifer Maguire. And then I also then just kind of came up with my own template for the actual box itself. Because another one that Mixed Up Crafts did, she did like a square one. And I wanted to do a 6x4 because my laminate stamping was that size. So yeah, so I've kind of combined a few ideas together and come up with this box. So I hope you like it. The papers I've used for the box is the Simply Creative Festive Chic papers from a few years ago. So this was from 2017, these were in. Beautiful, some are double-sided, some aren't. All purples and greys, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But I like the double-sided because double-sided is really good for this box. So yeah, I did have a go earlier with this. This was my prototype sample, and I love the colours on it, but I went and put the shaker element on the top of the lid instead of underneath. So I didn't like that, but I do like the freeness of the sequins in this one, whereas these sequins aren't as free. So anyway, so I'm going to be showing you how to make that, so let's get on with it. Right, so for this card you're going to need 2 pieces for the base, and both of your pieces are 10 7/8 by 9 3/8. Okay, now I've chosen double-sided pieces because obviously you'll be able to see inside and outside the box. You'll be able to see, see the pattern inside and outside. So that's your base, and then your lid needs to be 9 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, and again I've used double-sided for this. And again, you want, this is a 200 GSM. You want something, you don't want to go too thick because you're going to reinforce it anyway, but you don't want anything too flimsy because you are making a box after all. Right, let's start with the lid. So you need your scoreboard, and on your lid you're going to score along the long edge, and you're going to score at 7/8, at 1 7/8, at 8 inches, and at 9 inches. Okay, so that's on your along your long edge. You turn it round now, so you've got your short edge. On your short edge, you're going to score at 7/8, at 1 7/8, at 6 inches, and at 7 inches. Okay, so that's your lid all scored. We'll cut and sort it in a minute, but let's do all the scoring first. So put that to one side. Right, so next you need your 2 base pieces. Now what I would advise you do is you score the long edge the same and then turn it and do the short edge the same. It just works out a bit easier. So with your base you want to score at 6 inches. Let me just check my measurements, make sure I'm getting it all right. Yeah, so you want to score at 6 inches and also at 8.5 inches. Okay, so then if you get your other piece, so just leave that way up for now, and then score the same with this one. So you're going to score it at 6 inches and then at 8.5 inches. Then you want to turn it. Now I'm turning mine anti-clockwise. Turn it anti-clockwise. Whichever way you turn it, make sure you do the same on both pieces. Okay, so I'm going to turn it anti-clockwise, and I'm now going to score along the short edge at 1/2 inch, at 4.5 inches, and at 7 inches. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to bring my other piece in. I'm going to put it in so that I've got my 6 inch score line, then my 8.5 inch score line. So that means I need to turn the whole thing anti-clockwise, and then I'm going to score again at 1/2 inch, at 4.5 inches, and at 7 inches. So you end up with 2 pieces that are identical. So both of them, she says, trying to find the right way around, both of them should end up with, they're the same way around. So I've got the spots on this side, and both of them have a 1/2 inch tab, and then a 4 inch, a 2.5 inch, and a 2 and a bit inch, I don't know, whatever that, I can't remember what it was, 2 5/8 or something. And this is the same way, so they're both literally the same. Okay, they're not opposites, they're the same. Right, so that is all you need for your scoreboard. So your scoreboard can now go away. So now what you want to do is, on your, we'll start with the lid. On the lid, you're going to, I'm going to draw it in just so you can see. Well, I say you can see. I've decided to choose a highly patterned paper. I'll do it on this side because it's slightly less patterned. You might be able to see my score lines, possibly. I'm going to draw it in with white, and hopefully you can see where I'm going to be cutting. So you basically want to cut, and you can use your trimmer for this if you want to. You've got your first score line and your second score line. You want to cut down your second score line until you meet the second score line going the other way. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to cut it in a minute anyway, so you'll be able to see. But so you've got one score line, second score line, you're going to cut down until you reach the second score line going the other way. Then you're going to cut along, but only until you reach the first score line, because this bit here you're going to cut a tab out of. Okay, and you can do that on all 4 corners. So let me do that now. The other little tip I would say is you want to, this first piece, the first bit you're cutting down, you want to just, I mean, don't notch it loads, but don't cut it completely straight. Cut it slightly inwards, because this bit's going to fold over and you don't want it butting up against the edge. Then this next bit you want to cut straight, and then you stop. Then going the other way, you're going to cut straight. Now, unfortunately, because there we go. So you're going to cut straight across, and then what you're going to do is you're then going to cut, if you just cut halfway, you can just eyeball it. You're just literally going to cut that section out. So I've cut about 1/2 inch up from that first score line. Okay, and then I'm going to notch that corner, and I'm going to notch that corner, because that there is going to be my tab. So that's going to be my tab that sticks my box together, okay, or my lid together. So you're going to do exactly the same shape over here. So you're going to cut here, slightly angled, and then straight. And then here you're going to cut straight. Then you're going to go halfway along that square, cut straight across. Then you're going to notch there and notch there. So again, you're creating a tab. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on this side. So don't do it on here, do it exact, so it's literally mirrored image. So we're going to cut a slightly notched bit, then we're going to cut straight, then we're going to cut straight just one piece, then halfway up all the way along, and we're going to notch that bit there, and we're going to notch that bit there. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Okay, and we're going to do the same on this side. So we're going to cut a little bit angled and then straight. Turn it round. Going to cut the first little section straight. Then we're going to cut halfway all the way along. Then we're going to notch. We're going to notch. And we're done. So you end up with, I'll turn it over, you can probably see it a bit better. You end up with that. Okay, now you're going to need red tape eventually for this, but we're not going to put it on just yet. So what you can do if you want is you can just go ahead and fold and burnish all your lines. You don't want to put this lid together yet, because you're going to cut a window out of the top of it. If you wanted just to do a reinforced box, then obviously don't worry about the window bit, just go ahead and stick your lid together. But for what we're doing today, we need that window cutting in the top of the box. Okay, so that's my lid completely done. So now, well, I say completely done, I mean like burnished. So now what we're going to do is we need to cut a window in the top. So what we need is some kind of die. Now I did one of these, and the box didn't quite go according to plan. So this was my prototype sample. Okay, And so I did a rectangular window, but I think it's a bit too big. I mean, it's great you can see that much. And he also made the mistake of putting the shaker on the top rather than inside the lid. So you can see all my foam pads, which I don't like at all. But it's quite a cool, I do like the, I like the sequins, and I like the laminate stamping. See last week's video for the laminate stamping. So, yeah. So I just think that's a bit too big for a window, because my frame's a bit flimsy, and yeah, it's just a bit too big. So we're going to go with, I've got my other pieces here, which I'll explain in a moment. So I'm going to go with an oval. Now my window is actually going to be that big, I think. And then I've chosen another one so I can mat and layer on the top. So this is a slightly bigger oval that mat and layers with that one. Okay, so it's just slightly smaller. So you want the smaller of the two. And what you're going to do is you're going to, I'm just going to fold my flaps in, because I just feel like all I can see is stripes. And I can't really see where my lid, you know, what I'm cutting out here. So I'm just going to fold all my flappy bits in, like that, so I can see. So that's going to be the top of my box. So now I'm going to lay this on the top and get it nice and central, and then I'm going to washi tape it into place. Now make sure obviously that you use washi tape that is not massively sticky. This one is really quite sticky and has been known to rip my card before, so I'm just going to whack it on my jeans first and try and get rid of some of the stickiness. Right, so then get it central. Tape it on. If you're not sure about your washi tape, like I'm not, then make sure that it only sticks on the inside piece of your card, because this is the bit that's going to be your box. This oval you can use again another time, but at least, you know, if it tears that, it doesn't matter, because I'm not going to use it on the box. So once you've got it in, open all your flaps up, get it all nice and flat, and then you want to run that through your die cutting machine. So I'm going to use my Gemini. Right, so there's my window cut out of my lid. So that's cool. This bit here, I need to take the die off because I need to use the die again now. So let's just peel that very carefully off the card. And obviously you've got a nice oval there that you could use on another card, or you could even make a matching card to go with your box, which would be nice. So I'm going to put that to one side. Right, so then I'm now going to use this die again. So this time what we're going to do is I'm going to, oh, the washi tape. Right, so now I'm going to take my matte layer. So this is going to go on the top of my lid, and then what's going to happen is I'm then also going to have another layer on the top again. Okay, so because I'm going to matte and layer, I'm going to have like a matte and layer. If you wanted to, you could just leave it at that and not have a little frame and a border on the top, but I wanted to have mine a bit better finished off. So I'm going to just lay this on, and again I need to fold all my flaps in because I need to be able to see where my actual outside of my box is, the top of the lid. Right, okay, so this is going to go central on the top, about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape it into place. Now this could be a bit tricky because this is glitter card, and as we all know, glitter card doesn't really like washi tape. Doesn't like any kind of tape. It's just a bit shiny. But I'm going to stick that down like that, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to draw on the back around the aperture of my window like that. And then I can now take this off. And then I'm now going to die cut this. Now I'm going to have to die cut it from the back because I've done the pencil on the back, but that's fine. I mean, you do end up with a little bit of a reverse. In fact, if it wasn't, yeah, actually, if it wasn't glitter, no, we're just going to have to die cut it the best we can. So I'm going to put that into position. I hope that's pretty much in the right place. And then washi tape it into position. Right, so there we have that one. What we're going to do next is we need to cut either a piece of funky foam or several layers that will then, you can use foam tape as well, but that will then create the gap for your shaker elements. I'm actually going to use some bits of card. Now this could go horribly wrong, but hopefully it won't. These are, some of them are real crumpled pieces of card, as you can see, and that's why I'm using them, because I won't be able to use them for anything else. But for this I could use, you could even use cereal packets, you know, stuff like that, just old bits of card that you want, but you need something that's sort of relatively thick. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers here, which I reckon is going to create just about enough depth for my shaker. It's not going to be a very deep shaker, but yeah, so that's for that. And you also need, and so, oh, I forgot to mention sizes, didn't I? Your matte layer for your lid measures 5 7/8 by 3 7/8, and then the top layer, which I'm going to cut out of a smaller oval, measures 5 5/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, so this one we're going to cut a smaller oval out of it, a larger oval out of it, so you can see the white border around the outside. So actually we'll do that next, and then we'll deal with the others. It's a bit confusing, but anyway. And you'll also need, so you've got your matte layer for your lid, you've got your top layer for your lid that's slightly smaller, so this is 5 5/8 by 3 5/8. You also need, for underneath, you need your either your funky foam layer, so you just need one of those, or you need about 6 bits of card to make up a chunk, and these all measure 6 by 4. Okay, and you also need another one, which is going to be the bit you see, which will go on top of this, and that also measures 6 by 4. And then I've also done, this is optional, a base that will go in the bottom of my box, which is 5 1/2 by 3 1/2. Okay, you could go 6 by 4 if you wanted to. I've just done one a little bit smaller, so I've got a bit of a border. So that will go in the bottom of your box. Right, so what we're going to do now is, I'm not going to stick this down yet. I'm going to leave that out for now. I'm going to come back to the top in a minute. So let's deal with the layers underneath. So we've got, if you've got a funky foam layer, you've only got one layer and then a pattern layer, but because I have done card, I'm going to have to stick all these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one underneath here, get it into position, just going to washi tape it into position so it doesn't move. Going to flip my card over, and then I'm going to stick the die back into the window so it slots back into the grooves you've already made. I'm going to washi tape that into position, and then I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine. Because this isn't that thick, it should cut through. Okay, so we're going to do that. Right, so there you can see it's managed to cut through that layer. Okay, so that's good. Right, I'm going to repeat this again with the other 6 layers. So obviously if you've got funky foam, You just have to do that once with the funky foam, and you might find with funky foam, you lay that on, you run it through, and it won't necessarily cut, but it will indent it. So if it indents it, just take this off and then lay that onto your funky foam layer into the indent, and then run it through again, and then it will cut fine. So that's that one done. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut all the others out, all the other layers out, including your under lid layer, which is going to go on there. I could go the other way around if I wanted to, but I'm going to go with the circles, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'll come back to you. Right, so I've gone ahead and I've cut my, obviously my under layer, an oval, and then all the pieces of card I've cut the oval out of that is the same as the oval on the box. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick all these layers together. Okay, so again, I'm going to go do that off camera because you don't want to watch me sticking all those together. So as you can see, I've stuck all my layers together of cards. I've got a bit of a wodge. It's not as thick as if you used foam tape or if you used funky foam, but it'll be okay. As long as I don't use my sequins are quite flat, then it should be fine. So what I'm going to do now is take the lid I've got, I'm going to turn it over, so this is the underside, and I'm going to put in the panel. So this is that laminate stamping that we did last week. So I've got my acetate panel there, and so that is going to go in like that. So you can see a bit through the window. I know you probably can't see it on camera, but I can see a bit of this pattern through the window. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on the underside of this. Right, so there you have your acetate window with the nice pattern stuck on the underside. So if you turn it back over again, what we're going to do now is we're going to stick down our layers of card, or your funky foam layer, and that's going to go right there. Okay, so I've peeled off all my backing tape, but because I'm using an oval, I can't really go around the oval with tape. So I'm just going to use some Dovecraft Ultimate Clear Craft Glue just around the outside of the aperture, just to make sure that it definitely sticks down. Okay, so there we have our shaker element bit in there, ready to go. Now, before I add sequins, I'm going to deal with the front, okay, because I think it's easier for me to stick that down now before I start putting sequins in and whatever. So I'm going to deal with this bit first. We've already cut out this as our top layer, so that's great. So now what we want to do is I'm going to cut a slightly bigger layer with this, because I want this to be on top like that, matte and layered on top. And then I'm going to stick this onto the top of my glitter card, so it makes that frame. Right, so there we have my white matte frame, and I've put the purple on the top, and now I just need to stick this down onto the top of my lid. Okay, so there's my top half done. So what we're going to do now is going to flip it over, and we're going to stick the shaker element in. And this is just a plain piece of acetate, and again this is just 6x4, this piece, and this is just going to go over the top. So I'm just going to put some tape on this, some red tape. So there we have the acetate panel into position. Now I'll probably clump those together a bit too tightly because they're having trouble moving, but if I separate them out a bit more, that's better. So from the other side, they don't move as well as the other one because I haven't done it as, I think I needed to make the depth a bit thicker of this. I think if I'd used funky foam it would have been better, but anyway, you get the effect. They do move, so that's fine. Right, so then we need to take the pattern layer, and we're just going to go ahead and stick that over the top, and that just hides all your glue, all your tape, all the nasty stuff. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stick that down. Right, so that's your lid sorted. So now we just need to actually put the lid together. So for this, I'm going to use some thicker red tape. Use a lot of red tape on this box. Because it's a box, you need that extra oomph. So I'm just going to turn this over and I'm going to put red tape on the outside of all my tabs. There we have it, just on my tabs. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put red tape on the outside edges here of all these flaps. Okay, so now we've done that, we're going to take the end two, just the short ones, and we're going to fold them over and just stick them down flat. So we end up with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the backing on one of the tabs and then draw it up, make it into the square shape and just stick it down like that. Okay, so you end up with that corner. So I'm going to do the same with the other side. Like that. Okay, and then this bit here we're going to peel the backing off and fold it over and just stick it down, and then that hides the tabs and it also reinforces that side as well. There we go, so that's all neat and lovely on that side. So we're going to repeat this process on the other side. And so there you have your lid. So that seems to have taken a long time, but it's just because obviously we did the shaker element and obviously I've, you know, I did all those layers inside as well. So that's that done. So we can put that to one side now. So bring your two base pieces in. So that's what your piece should look like when you finish cutting it out, okay? And you can do exactly the same thing on this one. And just for speed, if you want, you can just lay this on top like that, and then you know where this tab's going to be. Just cut around there. Okay, and obviously I've already done the top bit, so we're going to do that again with this one. You end up with two pieces that look the same. Okay, now you're just going to go ahead and burnish and fold all of your score lines. Right, so now you've got your two pieces. What you're going to do is, I would start by turning your two pieces over. So you've got the outside piece, and you're going to put tape on these two tabs on obviously both pieces. Again, I would use red tape because you're making a box, so you want it to be nice and secure. Right, so there's your four tabs done. Now you just turn your boxes over, and you're going to stick this piece here, this long, the short piece that's here. So if I turn it over, you can see this piece here, okay, on this side. You're just going to stick that down like that, okay. I'm going to use wet glue just because I'm kind of getting a bit short of red tape now, but you want something that's strong, so red tape or wet glue. Okay, so once you've done that, you're now going to take, so you've got one piece that looks like that, okay, and the other one's the same way. You're going to take one of the pieces and you're going to turn it anti-clockwise so that it fits this square bit here that's almost 6x4, or might be 6x4, fits on top of the other one. So this is going to create your box. So you're probably going, ah, I get it now. So what you're going to do, you're now going to stick this on the underside to here. Give it a good press down. So that's going to reinforce your base. So it really is going to be a nice sturdy base. Okay, so now what you want to do is you're going to do what you did before, and you're going to stick your tab in there and in there, and then fold your flap and stick that down. I'm going to use wet glue to stick mine down with, just because I'm getting a bit low on tape, but you can use obviously red tape on there, and also because that's quite a bit thicker than we had on the lid. So we're just going to take the backing off my tab here, bring the side up, make sure it's nice and flush, and stick it down like that. Okay, and the same on the other side. Don't be tempted to stick this down yet. Make sure you do both the tabs on that side first. So we're going to bring this up, make sure it's nice and good corner, and then this is going to come down. I can't see. This is going to come down and stick inside there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down now. So that's nicely stuck down inside. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with this side. So we're going to take our tabs off, our backing off, stick that nice and square, and then fold and stick that down. Now actually, before you do that, if you want to put something in the base, which I am going to do, I'm going to put a purple liner in the base. Then now is the time to do it, because if you do it once you've stuck that down, it's going to be more difficult. So if you want to put a base liner in, now is the time to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this layer in. I've deliberately made this layer, as I said before, a little bit shorter. So this is actually 5.5 by 3.5. So you've got a 1/2 inch gap, well, 1/4 inch gap all the way round. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in. So now we're going to go and do our tabs. Okay, so there you have your base. Now because your base is actually a tiny bit smaller than your lid's a bit bigger, your lid should now, moment of truth, fit perfectly on your base. Wonderful. So there you go. So that's your shaker box. Now obviously it's up to you. Obviously you can put other things on here. I'm going to put probably a little greeting on the top or something on the top. But yeah, that's basically your box. If you wanted to, obviously, you don't have to necessarily do the laminate stamping. You could use plain acetate on the top, or I know you can get those printed acetates as well. You can get printed acetates, so you could do something like that. You could do all sorts, really, to be honest with you. You could also, I saw Jennifer Maguire had done laminate, but what she'd done is she'd trapped some sequins inside of it. So this one here, I've done the same thing. So I've actually trapped inside. I've just put in between the two sheets before I've put it through. I've put some little stars, little sequin stars. So again, you could use that on a window instead. So there's all sorts you can do with this. You could do vellum as well. That's another thing you could do. Yeah. So have fun with it, really. But hopefully you like that. Sorry, it was a bit of a long one this week, but I really like the box. I think it's a really nice box. It's nice and secure, and nice and sturdy, and yeah, and a good size as well, 6x4, good size. So yeah, I hope you like that. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.